I'm really excited to be a counselor in training. 2 years ago, I needed the most therapy. I was the person who needed to be seeing a therapist the most. And now I get to be a counselor and a therapist in training, which boggles my mind how much God can rewrite our stories when we just give him our yes. Hi, so I wanted to make this video of just kind of sharing about my internship journey. Sorry, this got loud. Internship has been really nice so far. I'm at a college, and my therapeutic approach and focus is I'm doing two, blending them together. So I'm doing internal family systems and narrative therapy, two different kinds, but they intermingle really well. And what I love about IFS, basically it just divides ourselves into 4 distinct parts, and a couple of those parts, all of them are working together essentially, and there's no bad part. Even though one part, known as the exile, is the wounded, the managers and the firefighters are working together to protect this exile, but the manager and the firefighters and the managers don't always have the healthiest responses. And then there's the self, which is this really compassionate, grounding version of ourselves that makes the responsible decisions. And then in terms of interventions, there's a bunch of different techniques, including unburdening and really giving voice to different parts of ourselves and allowing them to be heard. And then narrative therapy comes in terms of, for me, in a really biblical perspective of, let's figure out what story you've been a part of. Who has the pen? When can we give you the pen? And are you ready to start being a co-author in your story, right? So even if you're a therapist in training or want to know a little bit more about therapy, even if we're talking about people who don't believe in God, narrative therapy is so powerful because it allows people to understand their lives are a story. And believers, we are firm believers that God is writing our story, but you know what? We're co-authors of our own stories too. We have free will. And that's what I love about God. He gave us that gift. So though he knows the ending of our stories and he knows what's going to happen, we get to co-author with God, and we get to make decisions that maybe he didn't have in his perfect will, but he turns it around and puts it in this beautiful novel that one day we get to all watch. Like, you get to watch your own story. I don't know if we get to watch all of our stories. So essentially, that's why I love narrative, and I'm learning about IFS. I'm more narrative approached. However, the book I released actually has a lot of healing in terms of an IFS integrated approach, which I didn't know. I was just healing with God, but it ended up having components of IFS in it, and then narrative. So my healing story is IFS and narrative approach rooted. So of course, I would want to be that kind of therapist to help people understand themselves and the different parts of themselves, whether that's the child self in them, that teenager in them, and that adult in them, how they all work together, and why it's so important to give voices to them. You know, they've lived in our bodies, right? The child you is you. The teenage you is a part of you. And that adult you, if you're an adult, is you. So it's not like they ever go away. They come out in certain seasons and parts of our lives, in certain circumstances, when we're talking to certain kind of people. And so it's so important to acknowledge that. And the narrative therapy comes in. So what I love about narrative therapy is we get to view certain things as characters. So I love looking at emotions like characters. So tell me about anger. Tell me about the character anger. When did you first meet anger? And narrative therapy externalizes things, externalizes feelings and emotions. And so let's say worry and guilt. We take it out from inside of us, and we put it out so we can look at it in an external perspective and all right, worry, where did you come from? What do I know about you? Who taught me about you? And why are we struggling? Can we have a healthier relationship? And it's beautiful because Inside Out kind of gave us a picture into how narrative therapy we can view it, even though the emotions are inside us, it's like characters. So the point of narrative therapy is to understand better emotions in themselves too, the story we have behind them, what we've been telling ourselves about them, and how we can have a better relationship with these characters. And the more you know and understand them, the more you're able to not control them, but to, when they come up, accept them, acknowledge them, and work with them. So a big part of my healing from this self that I really hated was acknowledging that a lot of that was from pain. And once I stopped making myself, I have a video on my YouTube called You versus You, and it's a very underrated video, but it's a great video. I talk about that other self, maybe that part of you that you just were ashamed of, you loathed, you were angry at, but that part served a purpose, right? Every season of our lives is purposeful. So when you have a version of yourself that you know wasn't your best, it was still purposeful. The behaviors you had during that stage, even though you didn't like it, there was a reason for it. And understanding the reason is important, because that is a way you learned to live life or respond in that way. And understanding why you responded that way is so important, so that in future situations, you can come to agreement with whether you want to repeat that or how you can change that. So essentially, when I went from you versus you to you and you, so that was me partnering with myself. So when we talk about, I'm going to bring it biblically, baptism, right? When you get baptized, when we say die to your flesh, kill the flesh, when Paul says that, he isn't actually saying you're killing yourself. We're dying to that nature. But guess what? We're living in our flesh daily. So what I learned, especially when cutting off my flesh, I'm not physically cutting off. And even though I say, I used to, in the beginning when I first got baptized and I was seeing myself, I would say that girl died. No, she didn't. She got revived and renewed. And because the problem is, when you cut your old self off like that, when the feelings and the impulses come back again because you're in your flesh, you start to go in denial mode. Like, did I even accept Jesus properly? Did I even get baptized properly? Like, was that all like for show? That is the thinking that comes with the black and white thinking. So we don't want to think of the flesh and the spirit like, once I get baptized, once I accept Jesus, my flesh is dead. Daily, you choose your spirit over the flesh, yes. But we can't really, in this world, separate from our flesh. So what I've learned to come to terms with is accepting the flesh as a part of me. So if you're not Christian, you're like, why is she talking about flesh? Accepting the parts of you that you're not proud of, the parts of you that are impulsive, that react, that have these thoughts that you can't share out loud, the parts of you that you just don't like, accepting that they're there and being okay with the fact that they may come up in circumstances and situations that you can't control when it comes up, or you can't easily put them away. So let's say you get angry at something, right? You get that, maybe you get rage, maybe you say something you didn't want to say. That doesn't mean that you're unhealed. That doesn't mean that you didn't heal from a certain situation, or like that you didn't progress with regulating your emotions. It means you're human, and you're gonna walk a few steps forward and one step back, and a few steps forward and one step back. And it's really important to see healing in this way, in the way that it's a daily choice. So at the end of my book, I did a little CBT at the end. I didn't realize it until I wrote it. I told my readers that a big part of my healing was choosing to believe certain beliefs of myself and my family. And I put 3 bullet points. And I mentioned how it's not just one day I chose to believe that. Every single day I choose to believe that. And when I believe that, that means my actions and the way that I think about those people regarding, I'm talking about my mom, my dad, my sister, reflect that. And that's a big part of this life, right? It's a big part of healing, is choosing to believe that you're healing every day. We're never really going to be 100% healed, because pain and suffering is guaranteed in this world. When we reach the pearly gates, we will be with the Savior, okay? I mean, I will be with my Savior, and if you haven't accepted Jesus, please do that, so you can also join me in the pearly gates. But what I'm saying is, every day we're choosing to heal, every day. So don't beat yourself up if there's some times where you feel like you're regressing. Even 2 days ago, I felt like I was regressing, or like that I didn't heal in one certain area just because something came up in me that I wasn't expecting, or I had a dream and I was like, am I seriously still processing this? And I was surprised that I was processing something that I thought I healed from. So healing is just a really interesting term because there's no perfect answer of what that looks like. What I can tell you about healing, it's a lifelong journey. And sometimes healing means hurting someone because you're speaking the truth that you've been holding in for so long, but when you finally let it out, it was cathartic. It was purging. But maybe someone got hurt temporarily, but that was healing for you. So I gave that example because healing isn't always like butterflies and bunnies. Sometimes healing is messy and it's a roller coaster. So what is the point of this video? The point of this video is that's how I'm seeing my approach with therapy. This is my first internship. I had a baby internship last year. What I mean by baby, it was 6 months, it was a practicum, and I did make a video on that very briefly. So I'm really excited to become a counselor and to be certified and to help people heal their childhood wounds, their wounds with their family, and whether you're Christian or not, I wanna be a part of that healing journey, whoever God puts in my path. Yeah, I'm really excited about this journey, and narrative is just, it's not very out there in terms of empirical evidence, and I want to be one of those people that does research that can provide evidence for narrative therapy. It's biblical. It's we are moved by stories. Like, think about it. You may not remember a certain book, but when you watched a movie, you remember that movie, you remember that character from that movie, or there's a historical figure you really admire, or a sports player. Because why? Because you like their story, you like their upbringing, and something about it moved you, it inspired you, it challenged you, it resonated with you. So when we as individuals get to know our story, there's power in that, because we get to claim the past and understand it and accept it, and then work on whether we want to continue the story or rewrite it, rewrite what's the present, rewrite what's going to happen in terms of what we want moving forward. Yeah, so I don't know what I really wanted to give you, I guess, a sense of kind of like, this is a vlog, and God has been really, it's been a weird season for me. I think I was on a walk today. I was gonna say a while ago. I was on a walk and I realized I had been pouring. I'm in my season of pouring a lot. I'm going to be at my internship. I'm going to be leading a group at another clinic. And as a personal trainer, I'm pouring into people, and I'm like, who's pouring into me? That's something that I'm just being honest. It's hitting me. It's hitting me a little bit more than I thought it would. And I guess I'm just in this season of, pouring, and that's okay. I think I spent a lot of my life being fed by, I wouldn't say people, but I want to say like external sources. So like last year, I've just been consuming sermons and books and knowledge and interactions with people. And I think right now is just my season to pour. So if you are feeling similar to me, know that sometimes God does have those seasons for you, because he knows you're capable of it, and in time he will send the certain people, connections, and things to fill you up, fill your cup. Of course, I have my family, and they're filling my cup when they can. And yeah, I think I just need my own therapist. I don't know if I'm going to cut that out, but yeah, I don't have a therapist right now. I should get one, right? A therapist in training should have a therapist. Yeah. All right. Well, I hope that, I hope it was a blessing to you. I hope that we can get the word out on narrative therapy and IFS. And I'm more leaning towards narrative for my internship right now. I am doing IFS because it's more structured, but I'm a narrative girl. Yeah. All right. Be blessed, and let me know if you have any therapeutic therapy topics that you'd be interested in me diving into in a faith-based lens, or just in a regular therapeutic lens. If you want to know more about IFS, I probably will be making more videos about that. Yeah, like IFS or narrative. And yeah, all right, bye.